Hey family, I was doing some devotionals today and I was reading the 56th Psalm. And I want y'all to check out what verses 1 through 3 says. It says, "O God, have mercy on me, for people are hounding me. My foes attack me all day long. I am constantly hounded by those who slander me, and many are boldly attacking me. But when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you." I found great encouragement from the words of this psalm here, as the psalmist is facing this great persecution. The psalm is suggested to be a prayer of the silent dove himself, King David of Israel. That is David, who had just wished in the previous psalm for the wings of a dove to fly away from all of his adversaries. David in this psalm is being persecuted, and amid that persecution, he turns to God for protection. Now, while reading his words, you can sense that this is no soft threat that David is facing. I mean, if you look at it, David mentions just within the first two verses four different ways in which his enemies are attacking him here. However, in the third verse, David says something that really pricked my heart. David says, after listing the broad ways in which his enemies are pursuing him, he says, "But when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you, God." And I love it because David, at least not here in this psalm, he doesn't speak of ways of not becoming afraid, but instead he says, "When I am afraid, I will put my trust in you." Suggesting that sometimes, no matter how hard we try to prevent it, family, things like anxiety and stress and fear creep in, often even consume us. However, David says, when it does, we are never left without a solution. David says, when all else fails, we can always put our trust in God. I was encouraged because in life, we often work on and preach about prevention. I mean, it's good and biblical even to attempt to prevent things like fear from consuming our lives. It's great to desire to avoid giving into anxiety. I mean, we never wish to fall victim to things like worry, doubt, and unrest. However, as David shows us, there are times when they hit our doorstep anyway. There are times when we are past the point of preventing some things from happening. There are times when we are beyond the point of avoidance. Sometimes the things we fight so hard to prevent from happening in our lives happen, and there's nothing we could do about that. However, David shows us that there is something we can still do while in that space. David says, you know what we can do? We can take all of that energy we put into preventing it from happening and instead thrust it into our faith, trusting God to take over the battle from here. And I don't know about you, but often my prayer is this: God, I try to avoid getting to this place. God, I put all of my energy into being faithful where you told me to be faithful. I was a good steward over what you entrusted to my care. I worked hard. I fought with everything in me. I bled, but God, I still ended up in this difficult position. And David encourages us, while in those seasons in life, to not lose that energy, but instead transfer that energy into trusting God and say to God, yes, God, my wit and my skill may have failed me. Yes, God, my resources may have let me down. But God, here are my problems. Here are my issues. Here are my battles. I need you to take it over from here. And family, I just want to encourage someone who is out there who may be past the point of preventing something from happening in your life. And now this great battle is lying right there on your lap. I want to encourage you that just like God came through for King David and delivered him from all of his enemies, God will come through for you too. He will give you the push or the grace you need to keep on pushing. He will provide you with the strength you need to keep on fighting. Don't you quit. Don't you throw in that towel. If you trusted God to get you this far, trust him to get you beyond the battle you are facing right now. Trust that when you have nothing else left in the tank, when you feel as if you have nothing else to go on, God in that moment, in those moments, will step in and will swing on your behalf just like he did for King David. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's time for you to transfer that energy, to get out of the way of God, to throw everything you have right now into your faith and watch God show up and show out on your behalf. I pray this word encourages someone out there today. Be blessed.